don't think we're ever going back to a world where like women don't have reproductive control and women aren't allowed to go to school and enter the workforce anymore.
I would agree with you, I think, if I shared your worldview, in that you seem to have a much more positive or maybe optimistic view of like where our country is headed, where I'm sure those of us on this side of the table think like collapse is imminent. So I think that if and when that happens, which I don't think a collapse would happen in the way that people like to fantasize about, where there's like civil war, and I think it'll reach a point where the cultural entropy will reach a state where people want to do away with these ideas. Like you mentioned, for example, things are going like pretty well if our biggest problem is that like men want to use the women's restroom or vice versa. I think that things get a lot worse than that, where those problems would be abandoned and we return to tradition, so to speak. But I do think it is a very real problem, because yeah, it's one thing if like a guy wants to use a girl's bathroom, but that is like one facet of the whole issue, which is like we are redefining sex and gender. And maybe Russia is a country, but their descendants are still going to be Russians and they're still going to have access to normal children. Whereas in this country, I might not be, facing a land war, but I don't know that my children aren't going to be brainwashed by the popular culture to mutilating their genitalia. I certainly don't have my heritage anymore. I certainly am not able to be proud of my history. So if I don't even have my future, it's like, is this really a great country because I have reasonable access to like food, sex, entertainment? Like, no.